Out for lawmakers with a summer deadline now only a few days out. What's on the agenda for the Senate ahead of the August recess? Plus, former President Donald Trump continuing to hold a big lead over his fellow Republican presidential hopefuls. We'll have the latest as he awaits another possible indictment from the special counsel. And authorities in New York giving an update on their investigation into a series of killings on Long Island. What we learned today about items found in the suspect's home and where the search goes from here.
We can't just choose to learn what we want to know. We have to learn what we should know. We should know about our country. We should know everything, the good, the bad, the truth of who we are as a nation.
And President Biden taking steps to honor Emmett Till and his mother with a new monument. We'll have the reaction from around the country and where the monument will stand. Scripps News Live begins right now. Hey there and welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you on this Tuesday. I'm Veronica Cruz. Right now the clock is ticking on Capitol Hill with plenty left to accomplish before the annual August recess that is now just days away. The National Defense Authorization Act will be in the spotlight for lawmakers to pass before the summer break, but there are still several issues that senators need to overcome before all of that can happen, including Pentagon policies and Senator Tommy Tuberville continuing to block dozens of military promotions. Let's get you live right now to congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed, who joins us now from Capitol Hill. So, Nate, clock is ticking. Congress is expected to break for an entire month here. What exactly needs to happen before they leave? Seems to be a lot on the agenda.
Well, there is, Veronica. There's two main things on Congress's agenda before they adjourn for the August recess. The first of those is the National Defense Authorization Act. That's the 2024 military funding bill. That is working its way through the U.S. Senate right now. The big question is how many amendments are going to be coming up on that bill, how long it's going to take the Senate to be able to process that. The hope is to get that done before the weekend. Also, the House of Representatives starting early on some of the 2024 spending bills, but we could be headed for the possibility of government shutdown as soon as October. That's because House Republicans, especially members of the House Freedom Caucus, the ultra-conservative wing of House Republicans, have made very clear that they want to force certain funding changes for the U.S. government and certain spending cuts that Democrats in the U.S. Senate and President Biden might very well not go along with. Take a listen.
Most of the American people won't even miss if the government is shut down temporarily. But our speaker has an opportunity to be a transformational historical speaker that stared down the Democrats, that stared down the free spenders, that stared down the president and said, no, we're going to do what the American people elected us to do. And the House is going to say no. We're going to pass a good Republican bill out of the House and force the Senate and the White House to accept it. Or we're not going to move forward.
And members of the House Freedom Caucus still say they believe that a government shutdown is unlikely. At the same time, as we rocket toward this September work period where the House of Representatives and the Senate will have just 4 weeks to put together some form of a government funding package, it certainly raises questions if members of the Republican House of Representatives, with a very slim majority there, and Democrats in the U.S. Senate aren't able to reach some sort of agreement on what government funding should look like. There could be the possibility of a government shutdown or at least a showdown over government funding later this fall.
And Nate, before I let you go, I understand that Speaker Kevin McCarthy this afternoon has been drawing attention for his strongest comments yet regarding the possible impeachment of President Biden. So he is escalating this, but is it gaining momentum?
Well, this is over some unverified allegations that Republicans in Congress have made over Hunter Biden, the president's eldest living son's relationships with certain Russian and Ukrainian business people. At this point, those verifications have not, those reports have not been verified. At the same time, Speaker McCarthy warning earlier today that the only way to get to the bottom of this might be opening an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Take a listen.
You've got to get to the bottom of the truth. And the only way Congress can do that is go to impeachment inquiry that gives Republicans and Democrats the ability to get all the information.
And again, we do not know if they're moving toward an impeachment inquiry anytime soon. There is no indication that this will happen before the August recess. At the same time, House Republicans appear to be steadily moving in that direction with their oversight of President Biden and his family as they look to potentially open an inquiry into the president's son and certain allegations that bribes were accepted.
All right, Nathaniel Reed reporting live from Washington. Nate, appreciate it. Thank you. Happening now, President Biden is announcing new steps to expand access to mental health care. The proposed rule would ensure benefits on private insurance plans more closely mirror physical health benefits. The the action reinforces a 2008 law requiring insurers to evaluate and update their coverage. White House policy advisor Neera Tanden spoke with our Haley Bull about the obstacles when it comes to meeting mental health care needs.
A number of mental health challenges have increased, depression, anxiety, particularly amongst young people. So this is a problem we need to solve, and that's why it's really important that the entire healthcare system address it. I think what's important here is to remember that mental health care can really deliver solutions. It really does address the needs people have, and we just need to ensure people have the access.
The White House says insurers may have to evaluate coverage based on certain benchmarks, like the plan's provider network, how much plans pay for out-of-network coverage, and how often prior authorization is required and approved under existing plans. Developing now, we are still waiting to hear from the grand jury investigating the January 6th insurrection. Former President Donald Trump facing a potential third indictment in that case as he runs for the White House again. The Republican frontrunner revealed last week that he was the target of special counsel Jack Smith's investigation. Dozens of witnesses have reportedly testified now before the grand jury already, and the special counsel also received more documents in the case this week. National political correspondent Avajoy Burnett joining us now live from Washington. So Avajoy, as we wait for this possible third indictment against the former president, what has history taught us so far about how these indictments play out?
Hi, Veronica. Well, we don't have to look too far. Remember that it was just last month when the former president was indicted on that classified documents case down in Miami, Florida. So let's take a look at the timeline of how things played out with that one. On June 8th, that's when the former president posted on social media that he would be indicted. One day later, he was actually indicted. A 38-count criminal indictment was actually unsealed. He faced 37 of those charges. So that is what all played out with that classified documents case. But if we move forward a little bit to this current investigation around January 6th, last week on July 18th, he posted on social media that he is the target of this possible investigation into January 6th. And then now 1 week later, there's still no actual indictment in that case. So the timelines are a little bit different here. However, we do know that there is grand jury activity that is going on. This particular grand jury, they look at a bunch of different cases, and they usually meet here in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday along with Thursdays. So there's a possibility that they could show up at the courthouse later today, and then they could potentially vote on an indictment. But it is not clear what exactly they will be doing because all of these proceedings, Veronica, are usually very secret. But with legal experts who have spoken with, they said it is very likely that we could be seeing an indictment in this case in a matter of days, possibly weeks, but much closer to a matter of days, Veronica.
Now, Avajoy, I know that these things can be very secretive, but if there is an indictment, is anyone else at risk? Could we see other co-defendants in this case?
That is very possible. Remember, once again, if we look back at that case in Miami, Florida, there were two defendants in that indictment. It was the former president, Donald Trump, and his co-defendant, Walt Nauta. Donald Trump faced 37 of those criminal charges, and Walt Nauta, he faced fewer charges, just 6 of them, but there were 2 defendants listed in that indictment. So it's very likely that for the January 6th case, if there is an indictment, we could see other people. And there's been a flurry of activity around this potential case. We know that certain people have gone in. There are certain people who just stopped talking online. So there's a lot of speculation on if they have flipped on the former president. There are people who were once really close to the former president, but we may not know. Remember, former President Trump, he's the one who actually put all of this information out on social media. If there are other people who are actual targets or who could potentially be indicted, they may not say anything about this on social media. So there's a possibility that we won't know if there are other people who could potentially be indicted in this possible case until an indictment is unsealed. Veronica.
All right, Avajoy Burnett reporting from our Washington bureau. Avajoy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. New this hour, a Marine veteran freed from Russia during a prisoner swap last year, now recovering after being hurt while fighting in Ukraine. The State Department says Trevor Reed was taken to Germany for medical care after being hurt several weeks ago. Officials added he was not acting on behalf of the U.S. government. Reed was released from Russian custody last year in exchange for a Russian pilot being held in the U.S. on a drug trafficking conspiracy. So to come on Scripps News Live, a scary situation for the son of LeBron James after he suffers cardiac arrest. How he's doing right now. And Twitter, now known as X. What's behind the big rebranding, and will it boost the site's profile? I'll be speaking with an expert about all of the changes for the site next.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Back up, back up, back up. How long has she been down? How long has she been down? Is she breathing?
Scripps News investigates the silent toll of the fentanyl epidemic tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
I was having problems with my legs and my feet.
I suffered a lot of cramps, swelling.
I would dread going up and down steps.
Tingling in my legs due to circulation issues.
The aches and pains have just continued to increase.
Did you know if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or are over 40, your leg aches and pains could be from poor circulation? Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps. Revitive uses breakthrough technology to get your calf muscles pumping like a second heart to increase blood flow, reducing leg aches and pains, cramps, or swollen feet and ankles.
Plus, it's drug-free.
The cramping was terrible, and I don't get that anymore. Thank you, Revitive.
Revitive is FDA cleared and clinically proven to increase oxygen-rich blood flow during use. The smart stimulation works so well, over 3 million people use Revitive.
As a firefighter, I'm constantly on my feet. I wish I had known about Revitive a lot earlier. It would have made a huge difference in really who I am today.
Revitive has given me a better quality of life because I am living without pain.
Revitive reduces leg pains 2 times more than exercise alone in just 6 weeks.
We want to take walks. We want to do more social activities, just the typical things in life that I did not feel well enough before Revitive that I was able to do.
Now, Revitive is regenerizing my legs and making me feel like, let's do more.
Go to Revitive.com now to learn how Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps.
The doctor said, go for it. And I'm in the best shape in terms of my legs and my ankles and my feet than I've ever been.
Try Revitive. You will see the difference. It works. It worked for me.
Get the most out of life with Revitive. Visit Revitive.com. That's REVITIVE.com. Or call
1-800-317-6641. That's 1-800-317-6641 today. Or visit Revitive.com. Order now.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
All right, say goodbye to Twitter's famous Bluebird, at least for now. Tech billionaire Elon Musk making a splash once again by axing the social media platform's logo and name. Twitter is now X. Musk hinted at the change when he first bought the company last October, and he tweeted on Sunday that the change reflects his love for the letter X. So what does it all mean for the future of X. For that, we bring in Julio Sevilla. He is the Associate Professor of Marketing at the University of Georgia. Julio, thank you so much for your time today. So lots of people are wondering about this. They're saying, okay, is this change permanent? Is it a marketing scheme? Or do you really think this change is long term?
I think it's probably going to be long term unless Elon Musk at some point decides to sell the company. As we know, he paid a high amount, $44 billion. At that time, it was overvalued. So he overpaid for Twitter, but he had a personal interest in it. He was one of the most popular figures in the platform and has been making some controversial statements. So now he comes, and changed the name of the company. I think that as long as he stays as the owner, he's going to keep the name because he has had this obsession with the letter X for more than 20 years. At some point, he actually wanted to call PayPal X when he was the CEO of the company, and it brought him some trouble. He was, he was out. So I think it will be interesting to see what happens, but he'll probably try to double down on the letter X for the platform.
Which will be really, really interesting. I know that the company is private, but I have to question what investors think of this. Now, I know that they spent $44 billion to buy the company. And like you just said, he expressed his affinity for the letter X. He wanted to call PayPal X. Some of his other companies also contain the letter X in their names. So taking all of this into consideration, Julio, what really is the benefit of a rebrand here? Is there anything behind this in terms of marketing?
I think it's a bad decision from the marketing standpoint because he paid $44 billion because Twitter is a respectable brand. Many people know it. As you know, many people in media, celebrities, academics use it, and it has had some credibility, right? And that's where the famous check, the blue check, comes into play. But something he did was to get rid of it as we know it and started selling. So it took some legitimacy out of what Twitter stands for, and he's doing something similar with retiring that name. He paid a lot of money for it, probably overpaid for it, and now he's doing away with the name, so he's giving away some of the value that he bought, and I think psychologically it's going to have a bad effect on the company because, as we know, they have been losing some traffic, 6-7% of users since he acquired it. They've also lost, according to his own reports, around half of the revenue. So some people are wondering whether they should stay on Twitter. And I think the fact that he now makes it concrete that Twitter is no longer Twitter, it's X, is going to make it easier for several people to just, flee to other platforms like Blue Sky, which is supported by Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter. There's also Threads by Meta, Mastodon, which has some functionality issues, but it's also a platform that has some credibility. So I think this is going to increase the loss of subscribers or users of the platform.
Right, so you're saying that this is still a competitive space. You're talking about Mastodon, you're talking about Blue Sky, and then you're also talking about Threads, which is by Meta. But let's think about Meta for a second, because Meta is the parent company of Facebook. Facebook went through a name change. So do you think that this could eventually help Twitter? I mean, what is it going to take to rebuild the brand recognition that Twitter is so used to? Twitter at this point, or to tweeting has become a verb. Do you think Xing will ever gain as much notoriety, or do you really think this is the nail in the coffin for Twitter?
I think he mentioned, right, Elon Musk, as you said, that now it's going to be called X. I'm not sure it's going to be the nail in the coffin. I think it's probably going to stay around for a while, and at some point he may decide to sell the company in a few years, and who knows, maybe they bring Twitter back. You were mentioning Meta did change their name, but it's because they had to diversify their portfolio, right? Facebook had a bad reputation in some circles, but they also have some other brands like Instagram and WhatsApp. So Meta is not a platform, it's just the parent company, right? And they have these brands that some of them may perform well, some of them not so well. So they didn't want to have their destiny tied to Facebook. Google did something similar with Alphabet, right? They had a parent company. But in this case, it's a very different situation. You're actually changing the name of the platform, which has some value. Musk mentioned that he wants to make it even bigger, right? Something similar to WeChat, which is a platform where you can actually make purchases, order food, use ride shares, but that's something that has taken off in China. It's a developing country where when people get their cell phone, that's their first access to the mobile world. So it makes sense that a big firm tries to get all of that business. But in the US, we have Uber, we have Grubhub, we have Venmo. So it's very hard for him to to actually create that super app called X that he's.
But do you think that that's what he's doing here, though, Julio? I mean, he says that he eventually wants to turn X into a quote everything app like China's WeChat. And if Meta is the parent company to Facebook and a bunch of other platforms, does this change actually put him closer to doing exactly that?
So I think in terms of the name, it does, right? Because you would say Twitter is, the sort of media or, news type of social media. So you wouldn't think about Twitter to order food, ride shares, etc. So from that standpoint, I guess it makes sense. But then, why did he buy Twitter to start with? You would say, okay, maybe it's human resources. He actually had 7,500 employees. Now he has 2,000. He has changed a lot of the aspects that give credibility to a platform. So you would say maybe he should have just started something from the beginning, right? And not spend all this money to buy Twitter. And as I said before, I think it's going to be hard to create this super app just because we have a very mature market in the US, right? The US is very different than China, where, as I mentioned, many people haven't had access to the internet. So there's a big opportunity for that super app. But here in the US, almost everybody uses the internet. There's a lot of competition, so it will be very hard. So why wouldn't have Facebook done something like this, right? Facebook has 3 billion users. Instagram has 2 billion. Twitter only has 200 million, right? So why hasn't Meta done something like this? And why would Elon Musk be able to do it with 200 million and potentially diminishing users?
I mean, these are all great points that you're making, and Elon Musk definitely does not come without controversy. So we shall see what he decides to do next. Julio Sevilla, thank you so much for your time and for your insight. We appreciate it. Still ahead on Scripps News Live, the Justice Department taking on the state of Texas. The battle brewing right now between the two sides over measures to stop illegal border crossings. And it's almost time to start buying up all those back-to-school supplies, why parents might have sticker shock during their shopping spree, and how they can save some money. That's next. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kirk Kaiser, and did you know the average funeral costs around $10,000? And if you don't have enough insurance to cover funeral costs, credit card debt, and other expenses, your family is going to get stuck with the bill. Don't let that happen. Call right now. And if you're over 50, you can get up to $30,000 in affordable life insurance, and your acceptance is guaranteed. That's right. If you're over 50, you can't be turned down for this insurance, regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. Your rate will never go up. Your coverage will never go down. And rates start as low as $5 a week. Your coverage begins as soon as your application is received. Don't wait until it's too late.
Just call 800-760-7793.
Coverage is guaranteed regardless of your health and cannot be canceled without your approval. Don't leave your family with a huge bill for your funeral. With one fast and easy call, get up to $30,000 in affordable life insurance to help cover funeral expenses and credit card debt, and maybe even leave something for your kids and your grandkids. Remember, if you're over 50, you can't be turned down, regardless of your health. There's no medical exam and no health questions. Best of all, your rates start as low as $5 a week, and your rate will never increase. Nothing is more important than family. So don't leave them with a lot of bills to pay when you're gone. Don't leave your family with a lot of bills to pay for your funeral. Call right now. Acceptance is guaranteed. Call right now.
Call now. Call 800-760-7793. That's 800-760-7793.
My little family is me, Aria, and Jade. Just the three of us girls. Look here, this way. I never thought twice about feeding her kibble, but about 2 years ago, I realized she was overweight. She was always out of breath. That's when I decided to introduce the farmer's dog to her diet. It's just so fresh that she literally gets bubbles in her mouth. Now she's a lot more active. She's able to join us on our adventures, and we're all able to do things as a family.
Get started at betterforthem.com.
I've been flying for over 36 years. In all of my experiences, I have never seen so much pressure on a system as I've seen now.
monster demand, staffing shortages, and possible relaxing of important safety measures.
Could have had devastating consequences with precious lives lost.
Scripps News breaks down the question, is it safe to fly the friendly skies? A Scripps News special report. Air pressure, airlines under fire. Wednesday at 8:30, 7:30 Central, only on Scripps News.
U.S. home prices continue to climb. According to a national index released today, they're up 0.7% in May from April, which makes it the fourth consecutive month of rising home prices. It's also after a 7-month streak of declines. Now, on the flip side, year-over-year prices continue to decline. So even though inflation has gone down slightly, experts are still predicting an uptick when it comes to back-to-school spending this year. But with those high prices, parents might still be budgeting for pencils, glue sticks, and all the rest. Scripps News Phoenix's Jamie Warren takes a closer look at some ways that you can save.
There is definitely a bit of an increase in prices.
Maria Estrada is a 6th grade teacher, getting ready to scan the aisles for the back-to-school supplies she needs for her classroom.
There have been years where I've spent upwards to $300-400. It is really hard. It's not, something that is very easy, especially with having to pay for bills and things like that.
It's a challenge teachers and parents are facing. The retail service JLL predicts spending on school supplies will increase over 15% this year. Another survey predicting on average parents will spend $377 per child. That's a 20% jump from a year ago.
In addition to things being a little bit more expensive than usual, it could also be the case of maybe they had to cut way back last year. Maybe they had to make that laptop stretch a little longer due to inflation, and so they're coming at it this year with things that they absolutely have to replace.
Kristen McGrath with Retail Me Not tells me there are ways to save. Office Depot and Office Max have 60% off school supplies. Staples has some items as low as 40 cents. And right now for Amazon Prime members, if you spend $50 on back-to-school supplies, you'll get 20% off.
I think the power that online shopping gives you is that you can price compare more easily than you can when you're standing in the aisle of a store. You might find a better deal in a store, but you should still get on your phone and look and see what other retailers are offering online.
For Estrada, she's excited for what the year will bring and is making sure that no matter what, every child is equipped with the tools to succeed.
I try my best and make sure that, regardless of their financial situation, that their kids are taken care of and have the supplies they need.
And that was Jamie Warren reporting for us from Scripps News Phoenix. I'm Veronica Dela Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. And be sure to check out Scripps on scripsnews.com. If you're staying with us right now, we have much more news headed your way on Scripps News Live. Coming up, a new monument on the way for Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie. We're going to dive into the significance of today's proclamation by the White House. We'll be right back.
They're just young people, hungry, homeless, and vulnerable. Abused youth often feel safer on the street. Now, more than ever, that's the most dangerous place of all. Covenant House is helping young adults facing homelessness. We're providing safe shelter to thousands, but the need is overwhelming, and no young person is ever turned away. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month to help a young person. You'll provide safe shelter, hot meals, and medical care. Your gift will show them they're loved. Homeless young people are afraid and alone with nowhere else to turn.
You want to know that there's somewhere you can go that's safe. So the Covenant House did that for us.
Please call now with your gift of $19 a month. We'll send you this blanket as a reminder of the comfort your gift provides a young person tonight. Please don't wait. Your gift is the lifeline a young person needs now. Call the number on your screen or go online to safeplacetosleep.org. Thank you for saving precious lives.
Let's get you updated right now on some of our top stories. The clock is ticking on Capitol Hill as lawmakers break for their traditional August recess Thursday, but there's still plenty to do ahead of that deadline, and that includes approving the National Defense Authorization Act and addressing Pentagon policies. All while Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville continues to block dozens of military promotions. Attorneys for the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students are suggesting that they will present evidence that shows he was elsewhere during the fatal stabbings. Brian Kohberger's defense has yet to provide details of where he might have been on November 13th of last year. In a court filing, his attorneys say that the alibi could come up during cross-examination. Kohberger's trial is set for October, and he has pleaded not guilty. U.S. officials say Ukraine will soon receive up to $400 million in military aid from the U.S. The package includes weaponry for advanced air defense systems and small surveillance Hornet drones. They are largely used for intelligence gathering. Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you today. I'm Veronica Della Cruz. We've got some new details for you this afternoon. In the case of the Gilgo Beach serial killings, police have spent almost 2 weeks now searching through the suspect's Long Island home, even breaking out an excavator to dig through his yard, suspecting that they'll find more incriminating evidence. Scripps News' Alex Miller reports now that the case is still far from closed.
A shattered community.
It's unbelievable. It's shocking.
And a vow from police.
We will go into every single crevice to make sure that there's not something that we miss.
Investigators using excavators, police dogs, and ground-penetrating radar at the home of a New York architect who police suspected killed at least 3 women and maybe more. Suffolk County District Attorney Raymond Tierney says they found a massive amount of material in their days-long search of Rex Heuermann's home.
We were looking for, tangible items of evidence as well as trace evidence, including blood and DNA and hair fibers and the like. And when you talk about something like that, that is a process that it takes a while.
Police suspect Heuermann is behind the so-called Gilgo Beach murders, in which the remains of 4 young women, all of them sex workers, were found near Long Island's Gilgo Beach in 2010. But it wasn't until last week that police charged Heuermann with 3 of the 4 murders and named him the prime suspect in the death of the 4th woman. Now police suspect the 59-year-old husband and father of 2 killed the women in his Massapequa Park home while his family was out of town, and dumped the bodies just a few miles away. His wife of more than 27 years is now filing for divorce. During the search, the investigators took apart the home's wooden deck and discovered a walk-in vault with reportedly hundreds of guns inside.
Suffice to say, there was quite a few weapons found in the house.
Tierney says they can't rule out whether someone was killed in the home until they test the evidence. But the investigation is far from over, stretching into 2 more states as police search 2 of Heuermann's Las Vegas condos and land he owns in South Carolina. Area police departments are reviewing their cold cases to see if they're connected to Heuermann. Now, a former roommate of one of the victims is voicing his anger with investigators, telling the Associated Press he gave police a description of the suspected killer and his truck 13 years ago, but he says his testimony was overlooked for years. Investigators aren't ruling out other suspects in the killings. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts each of 1st and 2nd degree murder and is behind bars on suicide watch. Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
Developing now, NBA star LeBron James' son Bronny recovering after suffering cardiac arrest. A family spokesperson tells TMZ Sports that it happened during a basketball workout at the University of Southern California. Bronny has committed to playing college basketball for the Trojans this fall. In a statement, the family is saying medical staff treated the 18-year-old before rushing him to the hospital. Bronny is now in stable condition and out of the ICU. With an extreme heat wave blanketing parts of the country, school districts have been taking extra precautions with student athletes headed back for fall sports. As Emily Tenser with Scripps News Salt Lake City reports, it's all about keeping kids safe as sports practice gets underway.
For all the high school players antsy to get back on the field and back to practice, Tuesday is that day.
Tomorrow the real hard work begins. If it's an equipment-laden sport.
But for athletic trainers like Lisa Walker with the Nebo School District, this heat wave makes the statewide start date a little stressful.
We actually call it Heat Week. We don't technically start a lot of the stuff. We have Heat Week. We have mandated heat acclimatization.
All schools are required to follow strict protocols set by the Utah High School Activities Association. They must test their limits using a monitoring device called a wet bulb globe.
So you get the temperature, you get the wind speed, and you get the humidity. And it comes up with an actual reading.
Heat safety is very important to Walker. She's on the association's Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, as well as the Corey Stringer Institute's Health and Science Advisory Board.
For those who are unaware, Corey Stringer was an NFL football player who died from heat stroke.
Cooling tubs will be on standby. School staff is trained to spot heat-related symptoms. And at Nebo, football players will have to wait a few days until they're acclimated to wear padding.
Nobody should die from the heat. Purely preventable if we do the right thing.
Emily Tenser there reporting for us from Salt Lake City. An update now, a federal judge blocking a Biden administration rule that allows immigration authorities to deny asylum to many migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. Migrants who didn't apply online ahead of time or seek protection in the country that they're passing through have been denied entry. Immigrants' rights groups say that violates a law allowing people to seek asylum no matter how they arrive at the border. It all comes as the Justice Department is suing Texas and Governor Greg Abbott over a floating barrier in the Rio Grande. The suit says Texas installed it illegally without permission from the cities on both sides of the border. As national political correspondent Kevin Surley reports, Governor Abbott remains defiant.
It's known as Eagle Pass, a portion of the Rio Grande River that Texas Governor Greg Abbott says needs some type of blocking. That's why he's installed 1,000 feet of buoys with barbed wire as a deterrent for immigrants crossing the Rio Grande illegally. That's the length of more than 3 football fields. He says it's needed for him to do his job. The White House disagrees.
We believe that statute does not apply in any way because what the state of Texas is doing through those buoys is not in violation of that statute, because Texas is defending its sovereignty and its constitutional right to secure the border of our state and our country.
And instead of wanting to, or undermining, I should say, instead of coming to the table and trying to figure out a way to work together, he continues to do this really cruel, unjust, inhumane ways of moving forward with a system that has been broken for decades.
While that battle plays out in court, another political battle is around the corner, given that comprehensive bipartisan immigration reform has largely eclipsed Congresses in recent sessions. And Americans are divided on how they feel about immigration. According to the most recent Immigration Gallup tracking poll, 68% of Americans think that immigration is a good thing, with 27% viewing it as a bad thing. But the partisan breakdown tells a different story. Amongst Republicans, 73% think that immigration should decrease, compared with 18% of Democrats. And just 1 in 10 Republicans thinks that immigration should increase, compared with nearly 4 in 10 Democrats. All of this comes as immigration has emerged as a key issue in the Republican presidential primary, with just a few short weeks away from that first Republican debate. Reporting from Washington, Kevin Cirilli, Scripps News.
The death of a son and the actions of a mother that motivated the civil rights movement will now be eternally recognized in America. President Biden signed a proclamation today establishing a monument to honor Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till Mobley. Till was the black teen abducted and brutally murdered by 2 white supremacists in Mississippi in 1955 after he was accused of whistling at a white woman. His mother chose to hold an open casket funeral to show the world what happened to her son. Today's monument designation comes on what would have been Till's 82nd birthday. National correspondent Tammy Eswick has more now on the significance of this proclamation.
This is the courthouse behind me in Sumner, Mississippi, where two white men who admitted to killing and kidnapping Emmett Till were acquitted decades ago. Fast forward to what would have been Emmett Till's 82nd birthday. President Biden now declaring several sites connected to Emmett Till national monuments.
Emmett Till was 14 years old, visiting relatives in Mississippi in 1955 when he was kidnapped, tortured, and killed. Carolyn Bryant Donham had accused him of whistling at her and making sexual advances at the store where she worked in the small rural community of Money. An all-white jury acquitted her husband and his half-brother of murder, but they later confessed to killing Till in an interview. President Biden's creation of a national monument honoring Till and his mother includes 3 sites. The first, the Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood, where Till's funeral was held. His mother, Mamie Till Mobley, insisted on an open coffin so the world could bear witness to his violent death.
Emmett Till's mother in 1955, when she made the decision to have an open casket funeral, that not only showcased and demonstrated her character, her self-determination, her activism, but it was a catalytic moment in the American Civil Rights Movement.
The second site, Graball Landing in Tallahatchie County, Mississippi, where locals say Till's mutilated body was pulled from the Tallahatchie River. And finally, here at the Tallahatchie Courthouse in Sumner, Mississippi, where the trial of the men accused of killing the boy was held. As a student, Mississippi State Senator David Jordan attended the 5-day trial. He remembers the atmosphere in the courtroom.
I could tell that nobody was serious about it. Kind of mockery of a trial at that time.
Till's family has remained vigilant in keeping his name and the memory of his murder alive. I spoke with his cousin, Deborah Watts, last year.
He did whistle, but whistling should not be a death sentence. What Emmett did not do, which is what they've clarified also, has made those sexual advances towards Carolyn Bryant.
Designating these sites as national monuments, like the Lincoln Memorial and the Little Bighorn Battlefield Monument in Montana, will protect them from commercial development. And vandalism would be a felony punishable by fines and up to 10 years in prison.
This comes as several states, including Florida, try to downplay the U.S.'s racial history. Tammy Eswick, Scripps News, Sumner, Mississippi.
Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, artificial intelligence could have a major impact across several industries. The latest data and who will likely be impacted the most by the use of artificial intelligence. Also, student loan repayments set to start again sometime soon, while some borrowers are already worried about their budgets. And we would like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News Viewer hotline toll free. That number is 1-833-4SCRIPPS. Again, it's 1-833-472-7477. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas.
Are you on Medicaid and Medicare?
The U.S. government recently announced that 12.2 million citizens are eligible for additional benefits beyond what they received from the original Medicare or Medicaid.
These benefits may include $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit, plus you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification.
It's easy to see if you qualify.
Call Go Medicare at 800-718-0414.
And see if you're one of over 12 million who may qualify.
For $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit. Plus, you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification.
This call is 100% free with no obligation to enroll.
At 800-718-0414. Are you on Medicaid and Medicare?
The U.S. government recently announced that 12.2 million citizens are eligible for additional benefits beyond what they received from the original Medicare or Medicaid.
These benefits may include $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit. Plus, you could be adding up to $164 back into your Social Security check every month. Certain beneficiaries qualify for specific benefits based on income verification. Call Go Medicare at 800-718-0414. If you have recently turned 65, you may be able to enroll in a new plan today that may include benefits like $2,500 of dental credit, $900 of pharmacy credit.
This call is 100% free with no obligation to enroll. So call today.
At 800-718-0414. That's 800-718-0414.
It's Christmas all July at Balsam Hill. It's never too early to save, so why wait? Get amazing deals now on our wide variety of exclusive designs. Find the perfect tree at up to 50% off at balsamhill.com.
How can a photo become a vibrant part of your home? When you go to tryfracture.com and print your images directly on glass. Get beautiful depth and clarity on a sleek frameless print that's easy to hang and looks incredible in any space. Go to tryfracture.com now to save on glass prints.
The Athletic. Subscribe today.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. A beacon of the free American press.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
And now, this light shines even brighter. Scripps News.
Hey there, welcome back to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Cruz. So more than 43 million people in the United States have student loans, and those payments are soon going to resume after being paused during the pandemic. National correspondent Chris says many borrowers are worried about what it all means for their finances.
I've spent a lot of time recently talking to Americans who are carrying student loan debt, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and many of them are not who you might expect. There are other places Patricia Cummings would rather be in the middle of summer, and yet here she is, teaching at summer school just to make ends meet.
For not only myself, but for teachers in general, you will hear a number of teachers, say we have more than one job.
Of all the reasons she got into teaching, money was not one of them.
Oh, not because of the money, not at all. We make absolutely nothing. No, not because of the money, not at all.
Cummings is a special education teacher outside of Baltimore. She is 60 years old and has $180,000 in student loan debt from her doctoral program.
It's awful. Like, you shouldn't have to decide whether you should pay a student loan or if you should keep a roof over your head.
At the moment, Cummings' federal student loans are on hold, but that will change at the end of August after President Biden agreed to restart payments during debt ceiling negotiations. Worry has already set in for Patricia Cummings.
So I'll have to cut back on a lot of things. Like, I will definitely pay my mortgage first, but I'll have to cut back on my grocery bill.
The Department of Education estimates 43 million people in this country owe a collective $1.6 trillion in federal student loan debt. On average, borrowers have around $37,000 in debt. Many haven't made a monthly payment since March of 2020, when President Trump paused payments, and are worried about their finances when payments come due at the end of August.
I just can't breathe easy and say, I'm done.
Susan Vincent is among those concerned about her finances when repayments restart. The 78-year-old retired science teacher owes $30,000 in federal student loans. What is it like knowing that you might die with these student loans, not paid?
The way I look at it, if I die owing money, oh well. I mean, I like to pay my bills, but this is not fair.
Vincent owes so much money that she's come out of retirement this summer to substitute teach in New York City, just to make enough money to get by when her payments begin again.
What is so unfair about it is that I did, in fact, do my civic duty and teach in a high need area, and I'm still tutoring and substituting. And there ought to be some loan forgiveness for that.
Vincent told me she's still upset about the Supreme Court's ruling that overturned President Biden's efforts to forgive some student loan debt, a case brought by Republican states which argued the forgiveness was outside of his powers. Opponents to waiving the debt say it's too expensive and unfair to people who have paid off education loans or never received them. Vincent, though, is hopeful something might change before repayments restart.
It's the injustice of it, Chris, that just gets to me. People in my income bracket are struggling to put food on the table.
I'm not saying that they have to forgive the entire loan, but I do think that they should take into consideration each individual's situation.
For now, teachers like Patricia Cummings will keep working extra hours and extra jobs, all in hopes of keeping up with her student loan payments. Chris Conti, Scripps News, Baltimore.
Artificial intelligence already having a major impact on the labor force, and more changes could be coming. It's all according to some new data. Experts are saying people are learning to use AI to become more productive, threatening workers that aren't able to use the technology in their own field. Goldman Sachs says AI's use across industries could impact 300 million full-time jobs. And that would also disproportionately affect women, nearly 80% by some estimates. And that's compared to just 58% of working men. It's already become an issue for people working in the music industry, where AI-generated songs are a cheaper option without a producer, a composer, or an artist to pay.
It's taken away opportunity from songwriters, producers, and artists, right? So the people are trying to feed them, their families.
The World Economic Forum says by 2025, it's possible that 85 million jobs might be replaced by automation and tech. But on the other hand, it could create nearly 100 million new jobs that match an AI-led industry. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, some students are getting a trip around the world, all without leaving Texas. The culinary program that's opening doors for young chefs coming up. Plus, we'd like to remind you right here to follow us online at Scripps News on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and on Threads. We'll be right back.
To a child, this is what conflict looks like. Children in Ukraine are caught in the crossfire of war, forced to flee their homes.
A steady stream of refugees has been coming across all day. It's bitterly cold.
Lacking clean water and sanitation, exposed to injury, hunger.
Exhausted and shell-shocked from what they've been through.
Every dollar you give can help bring a meal, a blanket, or simply hope to a child living in conflict. Please call or go online to GiveNowToSave.org today with your gift of $10 a month. That's just 33 cents a day. We cannot forget the children in places like Syria, born in refugee camps, playing in refugee camps, thinking of the camps as home. Please call or go online to GiveNowToSave.org today with your gift of $10 a month. Your gift can help children like Ara in Afghanistan, where nearly 20 years of conflict have forced the people into extreme poverty. Weakened and unable to hold herself up, Ara was brought to a Save the Children center where she was diagnosed and treated for severe malnutrition. Every dollar helps. Please call or go online to GiveNowToSave.org today with your gift of $10 a month, just 33 cents a day. And thanks to special government grants that are available now, every dollar you give can multiply up to 10 times the impact. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this special Save the Children tote bag to show you won't forget the children who are living their lives in conflict. Every war is a war against children. Please, give now.
Light up that grill because this rare Omaha Steaks deal is hotter than fire. For a limited time, you get 4 of our famous fork tender filet mignon, 4 air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, 4 boneless pork chops, 4 burgers, and 4 jumbo franks. All of this for just $99.99. Order right now and you'll get 12 more burgers free. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today to find all the hot deals.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
The why is where curiosity is intentional. Because when you ask the why behind the news, the world opens up before your eyes. The Why, Saturday nights at 8, 7 Central, only on Scripps News.
Aspiring young chefs in Texas are working on their dream this summer, cooking dishes from around the world. It's part of a first-time culinary camp being sponsored by the local school district. David Taylor with Scripps News Corpus Christi has the details.
Here at A.C. Jones High School, the kitchen is sizzling with enthusiasm as this culinary camp attracts aspiring young chefs from all across the area.
I like how I could just make anything I want with the stuff I have at home. It's much easier than just having it. It's easier. It's more fun than just going to McDonald's and getting chicken McNuggets.
Under the guidance of experienced chefs and culinary instructors, these young chefs are learning the ins and outs of the culinary arts, from basic knife skills to mastering the art of plating.
Young learners who are interested in culinary arts and learning how to cook and how to safely do things in the kitchen, coming out, having some fun before they go back to school, and they're getting to do that here in our district.
The camp curriculum is designed to expose the students to a diverse range of cuisines from all around the world, from Italian pasta dishes to Texan stuffed chicken. These future culinary professionals are embracing the flavors of different cultures.
Well, normally I don't make food. Well, I make food, but I don't make it all the time. So making new stuff that I've never made before feels good.
As pots and pans clang in the background, creativity is in full bloom within the culinary camp. The students are encouraged to experiment with ingredients and techniques, allowing their imaginations to run wild in the kitchen.
It's really fun. And people could come, just make food. They learn how to make food.
Those dishes do sound yummy, but there are some happy parents at home right now. So finally this afternoon, there are 2 new treats hitting the market. Check this out. One sounds really cool and refreshing. The other one sounds a little weird, but I'll let you go ahead and take a look for yourself. Let's start with a cool and refreshing one, shall we? Wendy's is now offering this frosty cream cold brew, and it sounds, just like the name. It's 1 part cold brew and 1 part frosty. When I say cold brew, I don't mean beer, I'm talking about a coffee. It's available in 3 flavors, vanilla, chocolate, and caramel. They do look good, don't they? But if you are feeling more adventurous than hay, why not try this? Mustard flavored Skittles. Yeah, you heard me right. Skittles teaming up with French's Mustard for this brand new flavor. The collaboration is in honor of National Mustard Day, which takes place on August 5th. Mark your calendars. Now, you won't find these in the store. The Mustard Mobile will hit select cities ahead of this big release. They will be in Atlanta July 31st. Then they will be in Washington, D.C. on August 2nd. And then if you are in the Big Apple, they'll be there August 5th.